Hey guys, Travis Gillespie here. Today we're talking about inequalities, and there are a few graphs below to plot those inequalities. And before we even get started on inequalities, I'm going to put an equation here on the screen. It's x equals -2, and let's go ahead and plot this information. I'm going to change colors real quick because I still need a few numbers on this number line. I'm just going to put 3 tick marks on this side. So 1, 2, and 3, and 3 tick marks or hash marks on this other side. -1, -2, -3. So -1, -2, and finally -3. Alright, so how can I plot -2? Well, I have to find it on this graph. Well, if starting at 0, I would move -1 and -2 and plot that at that spot, but I need to change back to my blue color. So again, starting at 0, -1, -2, find -2, and plot -2 on the graph. Notice that the circle here, it is closed. That's telling me that x lands directly on -2 and not any other value. Now we can go ahead and move forward to these other graphs and dealing with those inequalities. So here we're going to say for this graph I have x is less than, let's say less than or equal to +6. Below that I'm going to write x is greater than or equal to -7. Over here we'll look at x is less than -2, and finally x is greater than +4. Okay, so we have a few different inequalities that need to be graphed. Okay, so let's get started with this first inequality. I'm going to just put a couple more hash marks on this number line. And the reason I'm doing this is I don't want to clutter this information. I want to keep it simple. So I'm going to move in increments of 3. So 3, 6, and -3, -6. I could have used different values if needed or desired, but it's really up to you. I'm going to change pen colors and figure out how to plot this on the graph. So I know that I want to find the value 6 on the number line. So I'm going to go to 6, and I'm going to put a circle there for now. And I've got to ask myself, do I want to keep this circle open or do I want to close it? And it all depends on the symbol that or the inequality that I'm dealing with. If your inequality is ever less than or equal to, or the reverse, greater than or equal to, always shade those circles in. So go ahead and close it. So shade it in as best as possible. Go ahead and close that so it looks like it's a closed point. This tells me that x can land on that value. So my value can be 6, and that makes sense because it says or equal to. So x can be 6, but it could also be other numbers. And those numbers that x could be, if it's not 6, well, it's going to be numbers. In this case, it's going to be numbers that are less than 6. Just ask yourself, which direction are the values that are less than 6? Are they to the left of the point or to the right? Well, looking at 6, I know that any number to the left of it is smaller than 6. Therefore, my arrow will move to the right, and I'll shade or shade it in kind of bold, or make it bright and bold, and do what you can to just allow that arrow to stand out to let yourself or whoever's looking at the graph know that x is a value that's less than or equal to 6. Let's move forward from here. I'm going to go back to that other color. So this time we're looking at x is greater than or equal to -7. I'm just going to put a couple more hash marks down on this number line, and this time I'm going to move in increments of 4. So 4 and 8, -4, and -8. Now I want to locate -7 on the number line. I'm going to go back to my blue pen, and let's locate -7. So I'm at 0, -7 is in this direction, in the negative direction, and I know -7 is right before this hash mark, right before -8. So I'm going to put a circle where I think -7 should be, or where it's close to, and then I'm going to ask myself, should I fill the circle in or not? Well, it depends on the symbol. This says greater than or equal to, so the value x can land on -7. That's one point it could land on, but it could also be other values that are greater than -7. So ask yourself, the values that are greater than -7, are they to the left of this point or to the right? Well, values that are greater than -7 are to the right, so my arrow will move in the right direction here. So let's go ahead and just fill that section in and make it nice and bold so that it stands out. If you're using a pencil, you might want to just make it a little bit more bold, I guess is the best way of saying it. Alright, so I actually want to make sure that this line connects to the point -7. There we go. So x is -7 or it's greater than -7. It could be any value. And this makes sense if I were to plug a value in. Okay, and I could actually prove this. Just choose a number that lies on your graph that you shaded in. So I'm going to actually plug +5 in, +5 somewhere around here on your graph, and I'm going to substitute it in for x. So +5, is that greater or equal to -7? Well, +5 is greater than -7, so it checks out. This is true. Cool. Let's move forward from here. All right, so let's work with this next graph. I'm going to put a couple hash marks down. We have -4, -2, +2, and +4. And I'm going to put my circle on -2. But now ask yourself, should this circle remain open or should it be closed? Well, it depends on the inequality. Whenever your inequality is less than or greater than a value, you're going to keep that circle open. All right, so let's go ahead and plot this graph. So x can be any value that's less than -2, and that is moving in this direction. So I'm going to connect a line to the circle and move out away towards the values that are less than -2. And let's just let that stand out just a little bit more. I'm going to make it a little bit more bold. All right, looking at this last graph, I'm going to change colors. All right, so let's put a couple more hash marks down. I'm going to put -8, -4, +4, and +8. And I'm going to just change colors again. Let's go ahead and put a circle on +4. And now I'm going to ask myself, if x is greater than +4, what direction will the arrow go towards the numbers that are greater than +4? Well, it has to move to the right. This is the direction towards numbers that are greater than +4. I'm going to let that stand out by making it nice and bold. Cool stuff. I'll see you guys in another video.